Hey guys, this is soufahthewolf here, and today I'm going to be doing an ice barrier deck profile. I've been actually wanting to do this for a while, but I never really got the chance to because school, sometimes work, and also I'd be hanging out with some friends, having a good time with them too. And sometimes my life can get pretty busy, so if I don't really post in months, it's usually because I'm working on something for a while. Anywho, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can watch more videos like this one, and let's get on into it. So coming up first, we have 3 copies of Revealer of the Ice Barrier. Revealer of the Ice Barrier is a very good starter card, allowing you to discard a card in your hand in order to special summon an Ice Barrier tuner. And you can also banish her in grave if you need to discard something. So let's say you have a Revealer on the field and a Revealer in the graveyard. You can banish the Revealer in the graveyard to allow you to special summon it. That way you don't really lose cards in your hand, which I think that's a pretty good effect to have on a card like this one. Coming up next is Speaker of the Ice Barrier. Now this one's plain and simple. It allows you to special summon the card whenever you have an Ice Barrier on the field. And it's a pretty good extender for many reasons that I can't really think of, because my brain doesn't really go that far. Anywho, 2 copies of General Wayne of the Ice Barrier. I don't really want to see him a lot in my hand, but whenever I do and my opponent controls a monster and I have another Ice Barrier in hand, it works out pretty well. For what his effect is if your opponent controls a monster and you control an Ice Barrier, you can special summon him, and if it's normal or special summon, you can search for an Ice Barrier spell or a trap card from deck to hand. And it also has like a little macrocosmos effects, but that's if it, I don't really know, actually, what it's used mainly for, except for searching. Anywho, we got 1 Defender of the Ice Barrier, and 2 Hexaspirit of the Ice Barriers. These are just the main tuners that I actually play into the deck. And what Hexaspirit does is you can send a level 3 or lower Ice Barrier monster, and it can change its level into the level of the monster that you send from grave. And I'd usually love to send Defender of the Ice Barrier or just normal summon it and do a whole different play from then on out. Coming up next is 2 copies of Prior of the Ice Barrier. I pretty much think 2 is enough, and I do see some people like play it at 3. And its first effect isn't really much because the first effect doesn't allow you to special summon level 5s or higher monster the turn you summon the card. And for example, if you control an Ice Barrier, you can special summon it, but it's not really used for that effect. What it's mainly used for is if you have an Ice Barrier in the graveyard, you can tribute this card, then target 1 Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard and special summon that target onto the field. Coming up next, and I actually got this card from a friend of mine who actually owns like a card shop, so yeah. We have 2 Judges of the Ice Barrier. I mostly use her for her Transmigration Prophecy effect, which, if you don't know what that card does, you can target 2 cards in yours or your opponent's graveyard and shuffle them back into the deck. The difference between those 2 is that with Judge of the Ice Barrier, it works with Ice Barrier monsters, of course. Coming up next is 1 Speaker of the Ice Barrier. I mostly just use her to be a floodgate against spells, because with her effect, you can send 1 Ice Barrier monster from the hand to the graveyard, and neither player can activate spell cards until the end of your next turn. while this monster is face up on the field. So, unless if they have a way to get rid of the monster, yeah, good luck. 2 copies of Silent Anglers and 2 copies of Tin Goldfish just to be more of an extender of the deck. I only play 10 Goldfish because if I need to just swarm the field with, let's say, like 10 Goldfish, Revealer, Speaker, and Silent Angler, I'd be able to do so because what 10 Goldfish does is whenever this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 level 4 monster from your hand. I'd mostly go for Revealer, and then use Speaker's effect to special summon herself. And Silent Angler, if you control a water monster, you can special summon this card onto the field, which it's pretty nice to do. And coming up for the spells, we have 3 copies of Medallion of the Ice Barrier. Basically, you can think of this as like Stratos or emergency column because it allows you to search for an ice barrier from your deck to your hand. The one also good thing about this card is it's not a once per turn. So let's say you open multiple copies of it, let's say about like 2 or 3, you can basically search the cards that you need to search. For example, Revealer, Speaker, and if you want, Prior. We have 2 Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier. I don't really play 3, mostly because I don't have 3. I just got 1 medallion from a friend, and I gotta thank them for that. It actually helped a lot with the consistency, but what Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier does, it's basically has a Monster Reborn effect for Ice Barriers that are level 4 or lower. And it has another effect, well, you control 3 or more Ice Barrier monsters. Ice Barrier monsters you control are unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters that were special summoned from the extra deck. So let's say my opponent is playing Phantom Knights, and I have 3 Ice Barriers on the field, plus a Synchro monster, and I have Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier. Basically, my ice barriers are protected by those destruction effects, and they'll have to pop this card first before like getting to any of the other cards. Next up, we have 2 Winds of the Ice Barrier. It has 2 different effects, both of which are actually really good because with the first effect, you can tribute any number of Ice Barrier monsters special summoned from your deck that has that many level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monsters with different names from each other. And during your main phase, except for the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one of your Ice Barrier monsters that is banished or in the graveyard, and add it to your hand. And that's pretty good because it allows you to get some of your starter combos or your extenders back into your hand if you need them, which most of the time, yeah. Coming up next, we have 2 Moray of Greeds. This is just to help with any bricks or with any of the cards that are like garnets, because let's face it, sometimes you draw pretty bad, but whenever you draw Moray of Greed, you can just shuffle those in for better cards or worse cards. Sometimes it's a gamble, and, you know, Joey Wheeler. Coming up next, Mask Change 2. I have this in here because I play a certain Mask hero in this deck. 1 copy of Monster Reborn to special summon a monster from the graveyard. 1 copy of Book of Eclipse to stop Link plays, XZs, Synchros. 1 Cosmic Cyclone and 1 Twin Twisters for back row hate. And that's pretty much it for the spells. Coming up next on the traps, hold on, let me fix this. Coming up next on the traps, we have 2 copies of Crackdown, snatch your opponent's monster. 1 copy of Dogmatic Punishment to pop a monster on the field. 1 White Howling to basically say no to spell cards. 1 Solemn Strike to negate any special summons of monsters or any monsters' activated effects. and one Paleozoic Dinomyscus just to get rid of some cards that I don't really like. And last but not least, let's go into the extra deck. And coming up for the extra deck, we have one copy of Elder Entity Intis to send to grave in order to pop a card on the field. One Mass Hero Acid to make the mass change to live. One Adamantipator Rising Dragite to be a spell or trap negate. One Crushtron Quandex just to go into some single plays during my opponent's main phase or battle phase. One Draco Berserker of the Tinyi if I need to banish any monsters my opponent controls. And two copies of Trishula Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. There we go. In order to banish up to 3 cards on the field, and if it were to be destroyed by an opponent's card, it could be it can special summon Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier from the extra deck or graveyard, and it will not banish. It will negate all effects of your opponent's monsters, half their opponent's attack, and make Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier 33. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, wish it was 2. Sadly, we can only do it to limit it to 1. One Abyss Dweller to go against stuff like Phantom Knights. One Bahamut Shark because, well, I need it for a single reason, which is 2 copies of Totally Awesome. This is an Omni Negate, and if you don't know what Bahamut Shark does, it allows you to special summon it by detaching a material and targeting one rank 3 or lower Xyz monster in your extra deck, special summon it to the field. And Totally Awesome is an Omni Negate that can send itself, and whenever it's in the graveyard, you can add 1 water monster from your graveyard to your hand. I usually would target this sometimes, but I don't play 2. Coming up next, we have Morantis Coral Anemone to be a Monster Reborn for water monsters that have 1500 or less attack, and 2 Mistar Boys to beef up the monster's attack by 500. Anywho, that's going to be it for the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to watch more videos like this one, and I'll be sure to see you all next time. Peace.